Welcome to the Good Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we discuss Masonic related topics while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian.
And I'm Russ.
So, Russ, we are in the holiday season. So, Christmas is just around the corner.
It
so,
is.
Where are you at with your holiday shopping?
I have not started, Brian.
Perfect.
How about you?
I am actually done with my part. My wife has a few, but we're early to the game.
Do you actually do any shopping at all?
I do with Amazon and online.
Okay.
Our kids for years have given us lists before Amazon, screenshot and do everything that they do. But it's easy for me now. I get a list over, click, click, click. Buy now. I'm done.
That's heartfelt.
So, all right. So as you guys know, Russ and I always try to throw each other off by sneaking in topics that weren't discussed. In fact, before we started recording, this was a topic of conversation. So, that being said, Mr. Brown.
Yes,
all right,
Brian.
Just let me get to the question. Don't guess it. So, abortion has been a very hot topic across the United States over the past several months.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your stance on hot dog condiments? Are you a plain guy? Ketchup, mustard, relish? Kind of walk me through your stadium hot dog ritual.
My stadium hot dog would be relish and mustard, Brian.
So, normally I'm a plain guy.
Mm-hmm.
If it's cooked, wrapped up in the foil, it gets a little moist so the bun's not dry. So if the bun's a little moist, I'm a plain guy. If it's a dry bun, like they just took it out and stuck it in a dry bun, ketchup on one side, relish. No mustard for me ever. That's just me.
Very nice.
So that there's no segue, there's no feeding into this. So this is just what we do. So Russ, tell us who we have on today.
Oh, today our special guest is a.
Don't tell about what he does yet. Just tell his name so he can tell his own story.
Very good. Is our brother Bob Bair.
Perfect. So we're going to go mix up a cocktail and we'll be back with Bob. All right. Welcome back to the Good Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast. We've got Bob Bair with us. And what we like to do here is talk a little bit about the man and not just the Mason. So Bob, tell everyone, who's Bob?
Well, I was born and raised in Wichita, Kansas. I went to Wichita Public Schools. I then went to K-State for a few years, came back, graduated from Wichita State. I got a master's degree from Baker University. Then I started working at Boeing and worked there for a few years. And then I switched and went to work for Cessna. And I have stayed there ever since. So,
how long have you been there?
24 years.
24 years. Just with them, not prior to?
Just with Cessna, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm an engineering manager there, and I've been doing that ever since I started at Cessna. So.
Perfect. Well, so we don't have to force you to buy a dress or a diamond. Tell us more about your personal side. Are you married?
I've been married for 23 years to my wonderful wife, Amanda. We met on a blind date, and we went out to dinner the next night, and she went and did her occupational therapy degree work and her clinical rotations. And when she got done with those, we got married. So been married.
Were these days apart or were these months apart?
About 3 years apart.
Okay.
While she was finishing up her clinicals for occupational therapy. And in 2001, we got married. So that makes us honest about 22 years almost.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. Well, Bob, why don't you walk us through your Masonic journey, sort of from beginning to end, and what are you doing now?
So I was raised a Master Mason in Albert Pike Lodge, and in January of 2015, in March of that same year, I went through or April that same year, rather, I went through the reunion at the Scottish Rite, and then by May of that same year, I joined Midian Shrine. Okay. So within the span of 5 months, I became a fellow craft. entered apprentice, fellow craft, master mason, 32nd degree mason, and then a Shriner from January of May to 2015.
So now, what are you doing right now?
Right now, I am a chief or band of Midian Shrine. I started in the elected line in 2017, and I'll become potentate of Midian Shrine per schedule in about 60 days from now.
Nice. So you talked about that you did your journey from, fellow craft down to becoming a Shriner in about 5 months, right? So that's not an abnormal journey. Russ, did you do just Blue Lodge all the way, or did you do Shrine all the way to
I
the
did
Shrine?
a 1-day Blue Lodge class
Okay.
in McPherson.
And I was a chance to advance person, so I did my entered apprentice and then my second and third degrees, and then 2 weeks later Scottish Rite, 2 weeks later the Shrine. So similar paths. Now, how long was it before you became a Shriner? Or you actually had
It
to
was
become
about 6 months. So
Okay.
I did a 2.5-day Scottish Rite class
Right.
with 10 degrees, and then at the end I did a cold sands and became a Midian Shriner.
Right. And you went through the Scottish Rite even before becoming a Shriner, even when it wasn't a requirement, because that requirement actually went away in 2000, I believe.
That's right.
So,
That's
okay.
right. The way the schedule logistically is set up is that the reunion is slightly before the Midian ceremonial, and I think that traditionally was by design, so
I think
people
you're probably right.
could go to the reunion and then go become a Shriner.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
So, Bob, you have a brother that is a Mason. So tell us a little bit about him. Who's older, who's younger, and who brought the other in?
Well, I have one sibling, an older brother named Bill, and he also was raised a Master Mason at Pike Lodge, and he's 3 years older. And I think the most compelling story is we had a dear friend named Brad Reed who lost his life, and I had become a Master Mason, and Brad had some friends that were part of Albert Pike Lodge. And after the Rosary at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, I stood outside with several other Masons after the Rosary, and my brother walked out, and he saw us all standing there together talking. And the next day, he asked me, "Hey, I need a petition." And I think it was the brotherhood that we shared at our dear friend's funeral rosary that prompted him to understand that Masonry is, in fact, real and alive. Yeah.
Well, sorry about your friend, but get to the crux of which brother's better looking.
Oh, he far better looking than me. Yeah.
Well, that could be a topic. We could have the brothers Bair on for another episode of that, and maybe it's a you decide. So
yeah.
So we talked a lot about the Shrine. Realistically, not for us. Do you ever see yourself going onto the Blue Lodge line through the leadership? Is that a desire of yours?
I do. I think that's something that I've always wanted to do since I joined Masonry. When my wife and I were asked to join the elected line, as soon as we were, that prompted us to turn over a lot of our free time to that. And so anybody that's gone through the elected line or been on the divan at the Shrine knows how demanding that is of your personal time.
And who put you on as OG?
Norm Connolly.
Norm Connolly. He's also an Albert Pike Mason.
Yeah.
In fact, was it his grandson Russ that was the youngest to ever to confer a degree in the East? Does that sound right? Sean, maybe?
I think it might be. Yeah.
So, Sean, if you're watching this, let us know. Norm, let us know, because that's another family with some rich Masonic history.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the divan, you're about to be potentate, so you've had quite a journey on the divan. So, which office did you hold that you liked the least, and why?
The least?
The least.
I think probably the year that you're responsible for the liaison report, which is your high priest and prophet year, which is your second year.
Mhm.
That liaison report is very demanding task. And so just simply from the load that it has on you, that one is probably the most challenging. You put out a liaison report and tell everybody the activity that's going on, and you ask for input before you do that. And then just as soon as you release
It's
it,
instantly outdated.
you get about 7 emails saying, "Hey, I needed you to add that," which is normal. I mean,
Right.
you get used to it.
Right.
But on it, if I have to be frank, that liaison report is a duty that when you give it up, your
First month or two was probably
and
crazy.
and when you're done with it, you're relieved.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the nobility voted to sell our current shrine center to kind of size up for our future needs. Did that move hinder some of your plans for your year coming up as a potentate?
Yes, it actually put everything at risk in terms of the social functions that we do for the year.
Right.
The shrine is embedded in a lot of tradition and history. And so at the beginning of the year, a lot of the calendar is predetermined. You have Super Bowl party, you have St. Patrick's Day party that leads right into the ceremonial. You have the Shrine Bowl, you have the Fall Ceremonial, you have CSSA, you have Midwinter CSSA. You have all of these predefined things. And from creating our calendar, we planned as much as we could plan away from the temple to not rely on the physical asset of the temple. However, there are a lot of things traditionally that take place at the temple. So
Right.
it put all of those events in a bit of a uncertainty.
Yeah.
And so it has created an additional level of complication with planning our year.
Yeah. Well, although that sucks, I do think that you and Amanda are kind of built for that. You guys are planners from your vocation for sure. I mean, there's always contingencies. So, yeah, that's pretty tough.
I think staying flexible and going with the flow a little bit also fits
That is exactly it.
Yeah.
If you take it on as a challenge and you don't get mired in oh no, this hand's been dealt to us,
right,
and see it as an opportunity and make it fun, you come out on top.
Well, that's a good attitude.
Right.
So with your activity in Blue Lodge and the Shrine, you get to interact with new Masons, new Shriners. Is there anybody we need to be sort of keeping our eye on, and somebody out there just sort of impressive to you that you want to speak to?
There are actually a lot of impressive people that have come through recently. I'd hate to single anybody out and say, "Oh, this guy is super great."
This is what we're asking you to do.
But
This is what this
that's
question is
right.
We're
asking.
putting you on the spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if I had to pick anybody that I really like, I that show potential are a lot. Dave Thomas. I really like Dave Thomas. I think he's super neat guy. And
Dave Thomas. He for those who have maybe recognized the name, he's from episode 3. So he's on a lot of folks' radar. So he's a good one.
And I guess another one I would have to talk about is Matt Cook.
Matt Cook was on episode 2
Okay.
of our podcast. And Bob you didn't know this, did you?
No, not
so
really. No.
it is nice that we know who we're picking.
They're both really, their demeanor and their, just their stories and their experiences. I think they have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We talked about on the podcast. Would love to get Dave Thomas in the mix to be a master at Albert Pike. We like his demeanor and his style as well, and we'd love to swoop him up.
And if I had to add one more, I would have to throw a guy named Jim Hallberg in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Hallberg's going to move the needle.
He, he's already been on the divan a couple of times, and he's a Masonic powerhouse. He's current lodge master of his lodge, and he's been on the Shrine Bowl board of directors. And there's a legacy story there with his lady Angela, whose
Mhm.
father was in the shrine, was a shrine mason. And so
Yeah.
Jim's a fantastic newer guy.
You'll
in
see
the
Jim
shrine.
on some upcoming episodes as well. We
Yeah.
think he's a mover. So,
Yeah.
so if there's a magic wand for the shrine, magic wand, it doesn't have to be realistic. What would you want that magic wand to be able to do one time and boom? What would your magic wand be? What would you want it to do and why?
I think more than anything, the shrine serves a very good function as the social arm of Freemasonry, where the lodge's men and all Masons, but it doesn't allow for as much socialization with the children and the ladies as the shrine's intended to do. The shrine's intended to be fun and to pull everybody together. So I would love to continue to see the shrine have functions that bring everybody's families together and have a good time. I can remember fondly as a child going to shrine circuses, and then there were functions at the temple. They used to have spaghetti fundraisers at the temple, and I can remember when I walked as a 3-year-old kid, I walked in and a shriner handed me a door prize. And I went up and I got this door prize, and it was a grocery sack full of stuff that was just random. It looked like it just came out of somebody's cupboard. But I thought I thought I thought I'd won the best thing in the world. And it's funny how something so unprofound can affect somebody's memory so profoundly. And I just think that the niche for the shrine is to have a good time and to have fun with families and ladies, and show people that Masons can get together in fellowship and have a fantastic time. And then, of course, we support the philanthropy of Shriners Hospitals for Children, and the stories that go along with that, and the children's lives that have been changed forever, is a compelling one. But fellowship first, and then philanthropy second.
I love it. I love it.
As a leader at Midian, what's your most challenging task that you have?
I think the most challenging task is to be the best steward that you can of the shrine, and to try and make decisions that are beneficial for the shrine's future, and to have a good time presently.
Right.
And everybody wants to do the right thing. You just don't always know what that is. And so you have to trust your instinct and make the best decisions that you possibly can, and try and have fun while you're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So one more question before we get to the most important, of course, which is which one must go. Which past potentate of Midian has inspired you the most, and why? Been maybe the most helpful? It doesn't have to. You can take inspired out, or you can use inspired. But which one's moved the needle the most for you on any level?
Well, that's kind of like asking me what's my favorite Beatles song, right?
Okay.
Because they're all good. But I would have to tell you, great leaders lead by example, and they make you want to be like them without trying to make you want to be like them. I would have to single out illustrious Imperial Sir Jeff Souter, because here is a guy who has led by example. He was master of his lodge in Toronto. His Masonic and shrine resume are unparalleled. He went through the Grand Lodge line in Kansas. One of the very, very, I think the only Imperial Sir to have ever been the most worshipful of his state before becoming Imperial Sir. So then he got on the 10-year line at Imperial after becoming the potentate at Midian. And I think his example of volunteerism and stewardship is unmatched. I even now, as he has stepped back from the Imperial line, as he's served his Imperial potentate term, he is back to the lodge, and he is back to the Greenwood County Shrine Club as an officer.
Love it.
And so if
you'll see Jeff coming up, his birthday, he's a Christmas baby. So be looking for that episode to drop around that time.
Yeah. And so what an example.
Yeah.
For other people to follow. Yeah.
Jeff, cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. All right. So now, arguably the most important question of the podcast. Up on the screen, everyone will see this. So of these 4 items, which one must go forever like it never existed? So I'm going to remind everyone what they are. So it's beer, pick the flavor, wine, red or white, it doesn't matter, scotch, and vodka. Think about your answer, you too, because we're going to figure this out. I think I know yours. I know yours. Yeah. So which one, Bob, has to go forever for you?
That question is one that's similar to which one of your appendages would you like to cut off and never have?
So this one's tougher.
So
it's easy for me. Do you know which one yours is? Mine's the lower left, I think. But
I think it would have to be vodka. There's beer and wine and scotch.
Okay.
I just don't know how you could.
I'm thinking Mandy on the vodka, so yeah. I thought you were going to let scotch go. What would you have said for him?
I would have said scotch.
Okay, all right. So we were both wrong. Think, yeah. So for Russ is easy. Which one do you think Russ would let go forever? It's very easy in my opinion.
I think he would let go of vodka as well.
Yeah. No, he would let go of.
So I am going to throw this a little bit because I can only drink 3 of the 4. So beer's already out.
That's why I said beer's got to go.
Beer's out because I can't drink
fizzy.
It. So between vodka, scotch, and wine, vodka's my favorite, and yep. I love a nice red wine. So scotch would be the one that I would kick out.
Which one do you think I'd kick out?
Scotch.
No, it'd be wine.
Oh.
I don't like wine at all. Apparently I haven't had a good wine. So, well, that's a debate for another day. So that's all we have. If there's a topic you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, on our Messenger. If you're watching us on Facebook, please like it and share. If you're watching us on YouTube there in the lower right, please subscribe. Our subscriber count is going up. And again, if you're liking us on LinkedIn, share. So Bob, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.